This is the Leica Q2, and honestly, it changed the way I photograph. But let's start at the beginning. About a month ago, I thought it would be a great idea to have a camera to document my everyday life. So after I watched a few videos, I got stuck with the Leica. I always thought it was a camera for lawyers and doctors as a status symbol. But by watching these creators, I realized owning a Leica is much more. It's a feeling. So within about 35 hours after I thought an everyday camera was a great idea, I bought the Leica Q2 on eBay. I think I never was that sure about spending so much money on an idea ever before. So the 2 days delivery time felt like an eternity. But after finally having the camera in my hand and after I started using it, I thought, okay. It was just a really weird feeling shooting with it. I always shot on Sony, and for the past 2 years I shot everything with my A7 III as my business focus is on video. So the Leica experience was quite different. Also, I normally use my 50mm as I feel like this is a lens where you can get great looking shots more easily. But once in a while I got shots on my 24mm where I thought, wow, this is better than what I could ever do with 50. And this was an extra motivation for me to get the Leica because it had a fixed 28mm lens. So I could really start exploring this wider field of view. Although I wasn't overwhelmed with the first impressions of the Leica, I was curious if I could get the Leica feeling as well, and knew that before I can make the final judgment if I wanted to keep it, I needed to get used to it first. So I just went out in the city. After a few hours, I started to get a sense of the 28mm field of view. And it was also good to know that I could crop a lot, because it's a 47MP sensor, which is about 4 times of what I was used to. When I showed the pictures to my friends, they said they could notice it was shot on a Leica. But I told them beforehand, and I don't really think they would have noticed it without knowing it. But in some videos I heard a great definition for the Leica look. The high amount of bokeh that you can get with such a 1.7 aperture lens and smooth transition from the sharp to the blurry parts of the image. The great amount of micro contrast makes the picture pop, which makes it great for every logo designer with annoying clients. And the overall sharpness due to the high megapixel count and high quality lens. With every shooting, I more and more understood what the others meant when they said shooting a Leica has a certain feeling to it. It started to become almost a drug for me, so that every morning or evening there was sunshine, I felt that I needed to go to the city and just take some pictures. It was refreshing to have those inspiring feelings again. This is also the reason why I bought the Leica in the first place, because I don't agree with the statement that the best camera is the one you have with you. I'd say the best camera is the one you have with you and you are actually using. I may carry my phone always with me, but there were just a few instances where I actually took it out to take a picture. And in that case, it's about as useless as not bringing a camera at all. I took it on a short trip to Amsterdam as well, and although we walked a lot, the camera didn't feel heavy or annoying. The compact design really makes you look like you're a tourist rather than a photographer. So people don't tend to look at you or even care if you take pictures of them. This is another huge advantage as it allows you to get more observatory shots where people just live their life and don't get interrupted by you. Oh, and by the way, if you like the pictures I showed so far, make sure to follow me on Instagram as I post Leica content over there every other day. You also get a certain peace of mind because the Leica is IP52 rated. But what does it mean? Let's take a look at the official IEC site that defined these ratings. The first number shows the dust resistance. In this case it's 5, which stands for dust protected. This one is a little tricky because it doesn't mean dust tight, so some of the less than 1mm thick dust particles may enter the body. But for most instances this should be enough. Just be careful at the beach. The second number indicates the sealing against water. Unfortunately, 2 out of 8 isn't that high, but at least the camera should resist water drops from the top up to a 15-degree tilt. The majority of my life takes place in the city, so the sealing is definitely useful for me. It's also the biggest reason why the original Q or X100V wasn't relevant to me after I found out about it. I always carry the camera around my neck, regardless if it's just a trip to the supermarket, visiting friends, or exploring a new city. It's easy and quickly ready to shoot, and therefore I use it often. I never want to miss an interesting event or detail that I just randomly see on the go, and I also started documenting my life. It helped me to open my eyes and look for those cool compositions and details that you normally wouldn't notice. The fixed focal length takes away the thought of which lens should I use and the hustle of carrying too many. By concentrating on one lens, you get the most practice and learn to master it. So, to sum it up, this camera really changed the way I photograph, and I highly recommend you trying one yourself.